I'd like to call to order the monthly meeting of the Frankfort Plant Board for Tuesday, March 21st, 5 o'clock in the community room at the Frankfort Plant Board. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Member DeLong? Here. Member Cuban?
Here.
Member Mason?
Here.
Member Snyder?
Here.
Member Devin Mitchell?
Here.
We have a quorum to do business. First item is item 1.1, consider approving the minutes for the March 3rd, 2023 special board meeting. Everybody should have that in front of them. Does anybody have any changes or corrections? If not, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'm so moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are adopted. Item 2, actually 2 items here, Mr. Denton. First is consider accepting financial statements for the month ending February 29th, 2023.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. What we have before you tonight starting on page 19 of the board packet, we're through 8 months of our fiscal year, so we have financial statements through February 28th, 2023. I don't have a whole lot of changes month to month on the statement of net position. The main thing I would just point out to you is on our financial performance, looking at the statement of revenue, expenses, and change for net position. Looking on page 24, I just want to briefly kind of let you know where we are on financial performance through these first 8 months. You'll notice that our total revenue compared to budget is above budgeted amounts, but in line with expectations. We're about 2% below our budgeted expenses for the year, so keeping costs contained. Year over year with expenses, we are running about 6% above last year, which is not unexpected. We knew we were in an inflationary environment and did budget for that, so we are about a 6% year over year increase. But still in line, bottom line is in line with where we thought we would be. And we've got a few more months before we finish out the fiscal year. We did get that audit engagement letter to the auditors, and we'll be getting to those preliminary audit procedures as we wrap up the end of the year. But that's kind of where we are for the first 8 months, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
So they accepted our proposal to make the adjustment on the fee as we agreed in the last board meeting?
Yes, sir, they did, and we'll be moving forward with the normal steps to get that scheduled and kind of a run between here and usually present it around October to the board. Yes.
Of the area where you said we're running below expenses, where primarily are we running below in expenses? Personnel or operating expenses, or where's our capital projects? Where are we primarily running under budget?
We are definitely running under on payroll. I mean, we've had some positions that the normal things that you budget for and either can't fill positions or had those move on to other opportunities. But so we are under there, and also on benefits. In general, you just have kind of an accumulation of items just below budget. There's not really any single one that stands out. We know because of the bad debt that we had budgeted is just not playing out. Some of that is COVID and all of the different payment methods we have and all the additional help that we've received from state funds to help cover those bills, so our bad debt is lower than expected as well. So overall, I mean, it's never good enough, but we're overall happy where we are.
Any questions of David on the financials? Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the financial statements?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Financials adopted. And now that favorite time of the year.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I know it's Christmas in March, April, May, June. Page 95, I wanted just to bring this to the attention of the board. We have for you a proposed budget preparation and approval timeline. The idea is to give you as much transparency into the budget process as possible. You'll notice we go through pretty detailed into deadlines we have internally, getting different things to us to get this budget put together. One of the main things at the board level I wanted to bring up is we usually have budget meetings with the board and all the staff around the first week of June. We try to get that budget to you 2 weeks before that meeting, so around the third week of May. And then all the goal of getting this approved at the regular June board meeting. So just want to have you thinking about a date you might want to set for those budget meetings. And also in some of the highlighted yellow ones you'll see, I know the board at times has different budget initiatives or ideas you would like to put out there for us. And the sooner you get those to us, we can get them into the first draft. Of course, it's never too late until we approve it, or even after that if we need to amend it. But just an idea to get those thinking about those types of items.
two items maybe. Kathy, if you would, send out to all the board the possible dates for the budget meetings and see what's the consensus when everybody wants to do that. And then I think the other thing to mention is, I think, last year we were wrestling with about 8% inflation. This year, the Fed and everybody had said they thought they could get it to 4%. Given what's going on, the banking, we don't know what the Fed's going to do this week on raising rates. Right now, what is hovering around 6%?
Yes, sir.
So, as we get closer, we'll have more updated information from Bureau of Labor Statistics. We know basically what state government's going to do on salaries.
Yes.
We don't have any idea what city, county. To the best we can, with Michelle's investigative skills, we'll try to figure out what KU, Kentucky American, and everybody else is doing. So we'll have all that information in front of you when it comes time. But it's luckily what healthcare is running a little under, and CERS contribution will tick down just a little bit. Not a lot, but it's not going up at least. So.
It will, and we're trying to do our best to automate and do as much we can in this digital world to try to minimize the amount of human interaction needed to complete our tasks, and we'll keep doing that.
And we'll find out something not too far in the future, won't we, Gary, from KYMEA on what rates are going to look like. But I don't think it's probably not going to be great news, right?
Not really. They just had one meeting, so this board meeting tomorrow, they're going to talk more. But overall, I want you to know, KYMEA cash position is not a great compared a year ago. Intentionally, the cash probably dropped close to 10 to 11 million from 21, become below to around probably around 10 or a little below 10. So it's not going to be not much room for the absorbing new costs. So that's the part.
Be sure if, like I said, when Kathy gets you those dates, let her know what dates work. And then, like I said, if you've got some ideas on some items, make sure David knows so he can cost them out, price them, get some more information, and we can have those in front of us. And but as Steve knows from the LRC, as David says, it's never too late on the budget. Always do that last minute amendment. So, next item, public comment. Kathy, anybody?
No, we have comments either.
Okay. Information department reports. Vin, you want to do your Masters of Ceremonies role?
Yes, sir, I'll do that. Before we get to public information, I want to just give a little brief update on the storm damage that we had on March the 3rd. So on March the 3rd at 3:47 p.m., we had a severe event, kind of wind event. It started that morning, but the wind hit us and started to cause problems then. We started to have outages to our customers. During the event, we estimate that we had approximately 8,000 of our electric customers off out of our 21,381 electric customers. So some of those had lost power at some point during the storm. We had high winds. The estimates I saw, some of them said 70 miles an hour. Based on my experience and the damage we had, we believe it was significantly higher than that in some areas around here. We had a lot of tree damage, of course, and so we had quite a few issues, like I said, with our electric and our telecom facilities throughout our service territory. The damage consisted of about 34 broken utility poles. That's the most I've ever seen us have in one particular storm. This is the worst windstorm I have ever seen. We've had ice storms that were worse, but this was the worst windstorm I've seen. And we also had about 16 transformers that were damaged. On 7 p.m. of that first day, we started to contact our prearranged, quoted, and approved emergency contractors that we have. As that storm, we all know, moved through Western Kentucky first, those contractors were already spoken for at that time, so they weren't available to us. So we reached out to the contractors that we use for Telecom and other things that do other things at our company. They agreed to help. And then we also reached out through KMUA to the other cities if we could get any mutual aid. So I'm happy to report that we were able to get mutual aid from Berea, Barberville, and Paris. They all came to our aid. We greatly appreciate that. We have helped them in the past, and this was the time we needed their help. So they all came in right away and started to help us with that. So as a result of all those efforts, our electric and telecom customers, all the ones that we were able to get on, again, when you're doing those restorations, you have to get the power on before you can get the telecom on in a lot of places. So we were able to get almost all of the electric customers on by that Monday. I think that was the 6th, I believe it was. And then we had all the telecom customers on really by the 9th. And so I think that was an incredible job by the folks that worked through those storms. We've been putting together the preliminary damage assessments to do a FEMA application. If that is all the boxes are checked from the president down to the governor so that we can do that. Right now, we have an estimated of $457,000 of damage to the Franklin County Board's infrastructure so far that we've been able to determine. That ought to be pretty close to the actual number. So we have turned in that damage assessment with Kentucky Emergency Management and the Franklin County Emergency Management. And so, number one, I just want to say thanks to our contractors that agreed to kind of shift what they normally do, and they just kind of rolled with it and helped us out. Certainly those municipals I mentioned, Paris, Berea, and Barberville. And I want to thank Ray Kenny, the Frankfurt and Franklin County Emergency Management Director. He's been a big help. And when we had certain power outages and things we needed, traffic we needed adjusted and things, he really has been a great help. Jessica Mitchell with Kentucky Emergency Management was big help with us when we're putting our applications together. And then certainly I want to thank all of our employees. Everyone jumped in like we always do when these things hit, but a lot of hours through, it was a Friday night through a weekend. For sure, the electric department, of course, and the telecom departments had everyone there, but the water department put in a number of people to help with that as well. That was appreciated. Our knock, all those folks answering the phones and doing that was greatly appreciated. Our support services groups were making sure all the material was there. They were feeding everyone and doing all those little jobs. You'd be surprised how much mud and dirt somebody will track in and how much trash you generate when you have that many people working. So they did a great job of keeping the buildings functioning. And then, of course, our media services group starting to get the information out there to our customers. Anyway, it was basically an all-hands-on-deck event. And I think our folks did an excellent job. I saw a lot of great comments from the customers. And so anyway, I think everyone did a great job. I really appreciate everything they did. And I'm sure as the departments come up and do some of their reports, you'll hear a little more. But I just kind of wanted to give an overview.
Well, I think all anybody has to do is look around and see what happened in Louisville, Lexington, to realize how hard y'all worked and how much y'all did. I mean, because I know y'all, it was all weekend. I mean, nobody slept. I mean, they just kept working, so.
That's definitely correct.
Yeah.
I spent this other weekend, the Friday night with quite a bit of downtime with there. So I know most of our folks work a 16-hour day. And we are, done that by safely.
Yeah.
That's very critically important. And also suggested by some of the board members, I sent a letter to the 3 city. They sent a crew to help us. We are greatly appreciate that. And I know at least 2 of the general manager email me back, call me, and let me know they are really appreciate a letter too. They want to extend this. The help is both direction. They appreciate what we've done before for them.
How bad was our inventory hit as far as going forward, man? Like poles, transformers, cable? How long will it take to replenish that, or did it take a big hit on us? Or
Our poles did have quite a few. Obviously, I said we had 34 broken poles. We had, quite a few. I don't know exactly what percentage of our inventory, but we've been working since that event to get those things back. It'll take us a few weeks, I think, to get the poles we need back. We had just gotten a shipment of poles. I believe it was that week, so that was timely. But anyway, we are the support services group have been working since the storm to get that material back. So we will get that back there for sure.
you else on board want to ask Vince some questions or make any comments?
Just very impressed with everything everybody did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really am.
I just want to thank everybody.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I will turn it over to Public Information Director, our Marketing Director, excuse me, Kathy Lindsay. Whatever your title is. It's her, she does stuff. She jumped off a plane and immediately started taking pictures and got into the storm. So they just threw her out the door.
That's right. That was a big weekend, and we had just come off of we had been up in Washington, D.C. We'd been lobbying with our legislators about ACP and about BEAD funding. So we'll see what comes of that. We want to make sure that they're giving those funds to the people who actually need them and not those who do not need those funds, those who actually already have coverage. So, Yeah, so we came in Saturday, got back from DC on Saturday, and hit the and went straight to the office and started really pushing out everything that our guys were doing. And it was, I'll just ditto everything that Vince said about just really great to be part of a team where everybody just realizes what they need to do and they just go do it. Was talking to one of our employees who, you know, I was talking to him about how hard they've been working and nonstop hours. He goes, "This is where I live." He said, "I thrive at ground zero." And I just love that, you know, that's the way our employees are. They love, you know, doing their jobs. And again, we're lucky that we have the employees that we have and the service that we have, that we're able to get that everything back on as quickly as we did, and our customers seemed very appreciative of it. Yes. Again, we really pushed it out on social media a lot, and it's just to, you know, people like to see what's going on, especially if they're sitting at home in the dark and all they have is their phone or something. They like to know that things are happening, or, you know, and that actually, you know, work is getting done. We're working towards getting everybody back on and all services restored. So again, we had so many positive comments, and we've been working through those comments to try to turn, you know, positive comments on our social media into positive reviews for our company and our business. And we've had some great success in that. So again, we'll put that to bed. And again, as horrible as it was for a storm and tragic, it was great to see our guys and girls at work doing what they do best. Yeah. So appreciate all the work that everybody did. Just as far as what we're doing right now in marketing and communications, we're continuing partnerships with some different organizations in town. This week I've been working on a partnership with the city. They're really focusing on their remote workers initiative. They've joined with a group called Make My Move. And so I've had a meeting with Penny Peeveler about that and how we can help promote that. We've made a video to promote the services that FPB provides, that they will, you know, send to the people who are looking at places, you know, what they're looking for remote work. We did a video about how good our utility services are here, about how reasonable we are, but also about how awesome NextBand is, and especially if you're a remote worker, how important, you know, high-speed internet is, and that we have that here in our community. And so there's no reason not to come here, in addition to all the great other things we have in our community. When it comes down to it, a remote worker, that's what they need, and we have it. They're also continuing a program that they had last year with Interact, and it's for students who want to go into coding. And so we helped make some promotional ads for that, and we're trying to get with the school as well. I think it's specifically geared toward the students at Frankfort High School. So we're helping do some spots for that to try to get those students interested in applying for those. They're like internships, and they say that if you do the internships, then it's more than likely to turn into a job. So that's great. We want to help them do that. In addition to that, we're continuing on with some NextBand marketing strategies, and we are looking at, as spring has sprung, evidently it's happening, we're here, and that's when we start getting all of the notifications about events that are happening in the spring and summer, and we already know that we're going to be really busy getting out there and getting out in the community. In addition to what we do with media services, we also just want to have a presence from FPB at all of these community events, and we know that we're going to be busy with the Downtown Derby celebration. Bourbon on the Banks is in October. Expo's back, so they've already contacted us. We have a meeting Thursday about what we can do to help out with Expo. But then again, we're also going to do a partnership with the farmers market. We've been asked from Together Frankfort to do something for Earth Day, to participate in that. So we're really starting to kind of put our calendar together on all the different events that we're going to have a presence at here, FPB presence within our community. So it gets to be our busy time now. And then lastly, I'll say that I know Cable 10, they closed out basketball season, and now they're getting ready to fire up baseball season. So that's going to have them really busy, in addition to all the other stuff that they do. So again, want to appreciate all of our crew at Cable 10.
Any questions for Kathy?
No, I'm not up to date on the Interact. I know at one point there were spots open for others besides high school
Yes,
students.
you're right, you're right. There are spots reserved for students from Frankfurt High School. You're correct. So, anything else?
Okay, thank you. Related party transactions? Is that you, David?
Yeah, speak now or hold your peace if you have a
That's right, if you need to
issue
come
with any
forward
of the
and-
items.
yeah.
Yes, sir. I don't know of any unless the board has it.
Unless somebody just wants to get something off, just.
Yeah, it's confession time.
Okay, next we'll go to the Network Operations Director, Darren Rambo. We'll give you a report on page 97 from the Network Operations Center.
Well, you've been doing with your free time, Darren.
Oh, but we watch a lot of videos, play board games down there. So for February, first of all, let's hope this board meeting ends better than the last one. So for February, the NOC handled 2,697 phone calls, and the locators did 669 locates for the month of February, which is really kind of unprecedented for February. So the warm weather helped, but it's just, as we've discussed, busy, busy, busy. I am happy to say we have a new locator that just moved over this week, and it's actually one of our meter reading employees that applied and moved over to the locate department. So, and then I think we have another one in process with HR. So, we'll just keep trudging forward and hope we stay above the, in front of the curve. It looks like so far this fiscal year, we've done 5,561 locates across all the utilities. That totals 11,122. And if you'll notice the bottom right-hand corner of your NOC summary, I just threw in some storm data. During those 2 or 3 days of the storm, the NOC entered 1,071 trouble tickets, just the calls that the folks down there took, and 4,287 phone calls. So, you look back at the whole month of February, we took 2,600 phone calls, so we took double in 2 or 3 days, and completed 41 emergency locates. Us and the other departments, cable, water, and electric, helped do those as well. So, and just to reiterate what Vint and Kathy said, it took all the departments, even in the NOC, other employees. JC from safety was there helping those guys out. Kathy Jennings came down and helped them out. So it was definitely a team effort. But we made it. We're on the other side of it. Yeah. So now we can just start planning and preparing for the next one. Yeah. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
And then as far as the work you've done before on security and facilities and that, you'll get your recommendations and that to David as part of the budget, right? For anything we need to do to be upgrading in the future?
Yep. We should have our stuff ready to present pretty soon, actually. We're probably wrapping that up.
Okay.
Cold weather slowed us down a little bit, and this delayed us, like a week. But still, moving forward, definitely.
Make sure things that have a price tag that David gets those as soon as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Any questions for Darren?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Next, we'll move to the Customer Services Supervisor, April Roach. She'll give you your Customer Services report, and that's on page 99 through 103 on your board package.
Good evening. How are you all tonight? As Vince said, our customer service reports are page 99 to 103. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for April? We hate to let her off easy.
There is one thing to note, since we do have an item about Paymentus. Cassie kind of changed the reports the last several months. On one of the reports, it shows our cashier transactions. And so as we talk about moving forward with a new payment processor, it's worth noting that over the last several years, the cashier transactions have significantly decreased because people are paying other ways, like with credit cards, checks, e-checks, those kind of things. So
David and I had a conversation recently. How many customers, I don't want to put you on the spot, but in terms of customers, I guess technically, that don't have a bank. They pay in cash or money order. They just don't have a regular banking arrangement. And maybe they're having a hard time and trying to make their payment. What percent of customers you think come in that literally have to pay in cash or just because they just don't have a bank? Or do you have a feel for it at all?
So on this particular month in February, we had 2,550 transactions through the cashiers. Of course, a lot of those are the customers coming through the drive-through, and most of those do come in and pay either with a check or cash. A lot of them are cash customers.
Yeah.
But there are a significant amount of those that are like bulk payments from like businesses that they may have 10, 15, 20 accounts at one time. So a percentage of that would be some of those bulk customers. But as far as giving you a number without polling our customers, I really wouldn't. I don't want to throw numbers out there that I'm just not sure of.
Yeah, I think I saw a Federal Reserve number that said about 20% of transactions are in cash. I don't know if you can translate to 20% of the customer base, but there are a significant amount that still use that payment method.
But just, 4 years ago, we were taking about 7,000 in the month of February, and this particular month, we took about 2,500. So it's worth noting that, especially with us moving forward, and customers are paying differently, and so payment is that I think will be a positive thing for customers if we move forward with it, because they have so many options.
Any questions for April? Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right.
Okay.
Telecom, Ben?
Yeah, Telecom Superintendent Adam Hellard will bring you the Telecom report, and that report are on pages 105 to 108 in your board package.
Good afternoon. The report starts on page 105, sorry about that. With customer penetrations, everything looks pretty good there. Numbers are tracking pretty good. The outage report starts on page 106. We had 3 outages for February. 2 of those were during that first wind event we had the month prior. The other one was a module that got wet. I think a seal had failed on a piece of equipment. Page 108 is the trouble call for the month. That's about average that we're seeing, so everything looks good there. As far as the storm, actually March 3rd, we got a lot of new guys, new personnel. It was kind of an eye-opener for them to, what's expected and what you go through, and all of them really stepped up and did a great job. They were safe. And you can't say enough about our contractors who, we called and they're like, hey, can we change your work schedule and you come over here and do that? All of them were open to that, so they stepped up and helped out a lot too. So it took everybody at the company to do it, but we're behind it, and we learned a lot. So that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'll be more glad to answer.
Any questions for him? Okay. And thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll move to the electric department with the electric superintendent, Scott Hudson, and then the chief electrical engineer, Travis McCullough. The electric report is on pages 109 through 112 in your board package.
Good evening. As Vince said, we start at page 109. You'll see our SAIDI numbers for the month of February is at 27.417. Page 110 is, of course, our pie chart, which shows the percentages of the type of outages. You get to 111, it shows the actual number of outages per cause, and you'll see that we had a total of 19 outages for February. And of course, page 112 shows the top 10 outages for the month, which we had a total customers of 721 affected for February. Be happy to answer your questions on that. And I'm just going to be like a broken record, like Vint and Kathy and Adam said, that, we, as far as the electric department, we're really thankful for all the help we had. We had, as Vince said, water side, we had water employees working for us. The cable side, when they were out trying to find service drops, they would email us pictures of stuff they would find that we hadn't even gotten to yet. So, it did take a whole entire company to make an army, and everybody pitched in and was really grateful. We were very thankful for all that. It made our jobs a lot easier as far as, having people there to support you. You just had to go up and get the lights back on. So, thank you.
If I could ask one question.
Sure.
I mean, it's not here, but I heard it, watching Louisville media, Lexington media, and I think it'd be helpful for the board, but for, people watching, could you talk real briefly about both underground, because people say, well, if you're all underground, you won't have all this storm problem. And then people say, well, what y'all need is just all metal poles. Just switch everything over to metal and everything will be great. And maybe just kind of comment on that.
Well, we do use steel poles in our system some. If we got poles in backyards, what have you not, that are really hard to get to. If we get back there, we put steel poles up. Many years ago, a lot of utility companies tried to switch to steel poles, but of course the price of steel went up, and they were, it's unaffordable. At one point in time, believe it or not, steel poles were actually cheaper than wood poles. So, the way the economy works, that changes a lot. As far as underground, You know, a lot of underground facilities are fed by an overhead line first before it goes underground, so it's still acceptable. I mean, it's acceptable to outages. And then, you know, there's a trade-off when you go to an underground facility versus an overhead facility. Underground, just what it is, it's underground. You can't see what you've got. It takes a lot longer to find things, takes longer for outages. You know, just like for us in this storm, there was one subdivision we weren't affected by it, but the amount of trees that were blown over, and it was an underground subdivision, but there was, you know, AT&T had some damaged stuff, and, you know, just the trees, roots themselves, even in a windstorm like that, if there's trees in your backyard, and underground lines, it can pull things up and still cause an outage. So it's not saying that you're totally invincible against trees and windstorms. So
Now, right now, if someone came in and wanted to build a new subdivision here in Frankfurt, do they have the choice of being underground or overhead? Or is that, whose call is that?
The city planning and zoning and the county planning and zoning have put rules in place. If you're gonna build a new subdivision, that would have to be underground.
It has to be underground.
Yeah, I think they have some type of, maybe you're gonna get some exceptions, but they're extremely rare. If we're building an overhead line off of some of our lines, that's not necessarily the case. But for new development, it could be commercial development, it could be any of those type of things that go through planning and zoning, they're all put in underground. That's
Okay.
the plan for it.
So that would mean automatically we'd be underground for electric, telecom, and everything else, right?
Yes.
And, you know, one of the biggest things about underground is the expense. When you talk about expense, a three-phase line, a mile.
It's about 3 times.
It's 3 times the cost of an overhead line, and it's,
Really?
you know, it gets expensive pretty quick. So, and, you know, when you start converting, say, an overhead subdivision to an underground subdivision, people don't realize, like, all the services to people's houses, they're gonna have to spend money to, you know, you gotta do a lot of trade-offs for different things. So you just have to make the best decision possible. But, you know, we do put more underground in, like I said, because of subdivision requirements and stuff. And a
I
lot
saw
of-
something, it was on the national, I think they said to switch from overhead to underground was like $1 million a mile. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what,
They'll probably talk about large transmission, and based on the MISO new plan, they talk about even more than one, maybe
Is
2.5 million. But the size of transmission and the watt is different. But I'll go back to the overhead underground. In our tariff, Wen can correct me, we provide overhead service free, means it's building the rate. But if customer, all the subdivision or whatever customer choose to go underground, then what we do is calculate individually to looking for the difference between overhead or overhead underground. So then they will pay the difference. So that's the part of the line we hold on. And the most new subdivision actually is the developer, someone paid the front the cost. I mean, they're both sides advantage, disadvantage. And typically I learn is the first 20 years is great, but after that, when the cable have after their life, particularly in the damage fault condition, detect them, then repair them take a much longer time. For example, you have to re-pull the cable, pull in. Sometimes they can be stuck, redo. It's a painful process, but there's both advantage, disadvantage. Yes.
yeah, I hate to hit you with that unexpected, but
Oh,
just,
no,
you
it's
know.
fine. Yeah, it's a big controversy between a lot of people. So.
Yeah. Any questions for Scott? Okay, thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Real briefly on AMI, we met with Census back in January. I think we discussed that briefly last month. They committed at that time 500 electric and 250 water AMI devices. So far so good. They've hit those promises to date. Hopefully that continues. If so, we're probably looking at in the range of about 18 months out at the pace we're currently getting to finally wrap that up. Also on the community solar project, the contractor has submitted the first permit application. No word back on it yet. It's just been a week or so out, so it's before the city. No firm start date. I'll keep pressing them on that to see when they're actually going to break ground and start construction. but they informed me they are fabricating the racking equipment. It's been sent to fabricators, so making some progress. None easy to look at right now, but we've had several back and forths. I know they're moving along. So. And
they've not said anything along the lines of they're going to have trouble getting panels or anything.
Nothing yet. No. As far as I know, everything so far is doing really well. We've pressed them on that. End of the budget year, we really need to be done. They've not given us any sign that they have concerns. So,
Catherine and Jason, when will we be in a position, you think, to start seeing if people want to subscribe? Will it be after construction is basically completed? I know we need a firm cost figure.
At this point, we probably have a pretty firm cost.
Yeah, we've been trying to, in parallel with the cost of service study, pull out that infrastructure component we've talked so much about. So we'll have a price. We know fairly certain what the output of the facility cost is. With the cost of service study, we're trying to determine what the cost is to wheel that power across our system. That's another one that's going to be wrapped up hopefully in that June timeframe, the cost of service study. So I think if we really want to have a firm number in hand, that's probably the timeframe we're looking at. One thing we would need to do is get a policy in place kind of in parallel with that as we're getting people to sign up. I'd thrown out the idea of maybe if the board was okay with it, we would get a draft policy with that cost piece kind of still in the works. Possibly next month if the board thinks they would like to start discussing the policy.
That's it.
That would be
Good with
great.
y'all?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can get a draft to you at the regular April meeting.
Okay. I know you already have, make sure, you get with Jason and Catherine
Sure. Yep.
before that on the draft, so.
Yep, I'll get it to
Okay.
them in advance so they have plenty of time.
So it sounds like, Kathy, be ready for summer kickoff of community solar.
Yeah.
So when's the expected date for the completion of the first?
Yeah, phase one,
estimated.
Yeah, we told him by the end of this budget year, so end of June, we really want to have it done, phase one complete, which will include the fence for the entire facility, the panels, everything for phase one.
By June?
End of June, end of this current budget year, yes.
So then, wouldn't we start the interest now, trying to promote it and?
No, we're just waiting for the numbers so we know what we're selling.
Well, I mean, just talking about it's coming, not the,
Kathy, you want to get on that?
just kind of like we did Next Man. We started talking about it before
Yeah.
it was ready, so.
I don't
Yep.
think there's any harm.
Okay, sure, yep.
And then we're still looking at some possibilities of maybe if there's any possibility of proceeding with 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
So.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, did you talk to the vendor about that or get a revised quote for that?
I have not talked to any vendors about that because I wasn't certain if the board was 100% certain what direction they wanted to go.
I think you opine we have to bid it, right?
I think we're probably safer if we rebid that. I think that's an awfully big change to make.
Yes, sir. And
I think triple the original RFP is a big change.
and the other thought that just as far as timing goes, I guess you would, a tariff for the, is that what we were?
Yeah, I would
thinking about?
assume it'd be a new electric tariff section.
Public hearing process, so we kind of, not that you can't start talking about it already, but.
Now, would that be a separate, when we get the cost of service study and the rates, that'd be a change to the tariffs, then would that all be wrapped up into one, or?
You could do one public hearing for all the topics you wanted to cover. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
our idea was that the tariff would be prepared for you guys. You would see the draft at April and
Right.
probably ask for a public hearing for that particular piece of it. The cost of service study will be done in April, we think, too.
Yeah, that was we were trying to target that same time frame.
So that would probably be, you would be asking for a public hearing somewhere
In May.
along with that. So
Oh, okay.
there will be the rate component of that new tariff will be tied to the cost of service study, just like any other rate changes that may be needed. The actual language of the tariff, which would be going on at the same time, that's the part Travis will have for you, you all pretty soon, and then I'll have the rest of it. So, that would happen we would ask for the public hearing, I guess, in April. We have May would probably be the public hearing. And then sometime in June, I guess you would approve the rates at that time and the tariff as well, or make any adjustments we need to. And then starting for the July 1 budget year, The electric rates may be September, I don't know if July, we'll talk about that more, but everything would be prepared at that particular point for beginning to subscribe customers for community solar, I would think, by roughly July 1 or so.
Yep.
Any questions?
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Yep, thanks, Travis.
Okay. Next, I will give you a brief update of the CPR report. That's on pages 113 through 115. So we started a new calendar year with this January CPR report. For the month of January, we cleared $114,573. And then you can see on page, what is that, 115, you can see the totals running for the previous years. So last year we cleared 2.7 million for the calendar year. This year I expect that CPO will be down. Again, a lot of those prices are driven by market, and the market is down that we expect this year from where it's been. So I don't think it'll be at that same level. We will have a good estimate for you at the budget when we put those in. So I'll be happy to.
And we've talked about this before. There's really, in terms of any new hydro or anything, that's just non-existent, right? I mean, what's out there is pretty much what all we can get as far as any new hydro or expansion or.
No, I don't know of any more that's available, but I'm sure there's BPAs available for hydro, just like a lot.
But not in this area where there's actually.
No. Those would be market
Right.
BPAs, yeah.
Okay.
So next would be the KYMEA update.
I really don't have a lot new information, but I definitely going to have a little more after tomorrow's meeting. Soon I have, I share a few.
Yes.
Okay, if there aren't any more questions on KYMEA, we will move to your safety report with the safety director, John Lyons. And I will give John a compliment. He really helped us a lot in the storm. He did quite a few things, made sure we were doing stuff. It was great to have him there. Appreciate all of his assistance.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
He was a big help. We appreciate it. But your safety report's 117 through 118.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As mentioned, 117 through 118 is our safety report. Great month. No recordables or vehicle accidents. So, excellent news. And a testament to all our employees working safely through the storm. Such an event like that, putting safety as a priority. A big thank you to all our employees.
And just, if you haven't already signed up, safety training is end of the month.
That's right.
And Steve and I already signed up, so I mean, you definitely want to sign up for it.
That's right.
It's a shame that only 2 board members can attend any one event.
That's right.
Otherwise, we'd all be a special meeting, so y'all have fun at that.
You're going to save your life.
I'm glad somebody will.
But actually, it definitely is worth going to.
Yes, any board members that are interested, it'll actually be running Monday through next Friday, 7:30 to 4. 2 classes each day. We'll have a CPR First Aid. So.
But it is helpful. I mean, it's
Very, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's an annual event we do for all our field employees, and then our non-field employees also have the opportunity to attend.
Yeah, I think Steve and I are going to close it down on that Friday.
Yes, sir.
We figured that'd be the shortest session. We get out quick. Yeah.
We will. We'll make sure we get you out of here. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we will move to the water distribution report with the distribution superintendent, Brian Bourne. That report is on pages 119 through 121 in your board package.
Good afternoon, Board, Mr. Chairman. The Water Distribution Monthly Report is on pages 119 through 121. We installed 10 new services. We had 3 main breaks and 1 outage, so pretty good month. I'd like to see the uptick in new services. Our construction crews, we completed line replacement project on Crittenden Road and Clay Avenue. And I wanted to give a shout out to the electric department too. We had 1 pump station was without power. Within 2 hours, they had the power back up, so I appreciate them helping us and us being able to help them.
And when Brian's roaming the halls with a stick telling you to get his, we move.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. We just had a few SCADA issues and had the 1 pump station down, but it's great that the team mentality. I mean, if they need help, we're right there to jump in and help. And the guys really like helping the customers get
those
service
pump
back.
station is important because the last water we deliver the water to our wholesale
Yep.
district because we found that there are going to be a lot of people don't have water.
I'm glad all our pump stations are on FPB Electric. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. Any questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Well, the next will be the water treatment plant, Superintendent Brandon Powers, to give you the report for the water treatment plant.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of February, the water treatment plant treated 207,241,000 gallons of water for an average daily production of 7.4 million gallons a day. Lock 4 averaged 21,496 cubic feet per second for an average of 13.8 billion gallons a day. There were 3.7 inches of rainfall recorded in the watershed for the month of February, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
And we don't have any chemicals to approve.
No, it's coming up soon, though.
Is that
yeah, we'll get to do that soon enough.
Yeah. Do we have any questions? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that would wrap up the departmental reports.
Action items. Item 5.1. This is the item that we had the public hearing on. Consider 1, increasing rate for cable network pass-through fee. 2, increasing rate for bulk rate cable 1 and bulk rate cable 2. Reducing digital gateway fee, reducing Star's Encore rate, and update FPB local weather advertising rates. Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff recommends the approval of the proposed rate and tariff changes effective May 1st, 2023. The proposed cable network pass-through fee and the bulk cable rates increases are both direct pass-throughs of the increased programming costs of the cable networks on classic cable. If approved, the cable network pass-through fee will increase from $60.19 per month to $63.81 per month. The bulk cable 1 rate will increase from $15.25 per outlet per month to $16.20 per outlet per month. Bulk cable 2 rate would increase from $26.60 per month to $28.14 per month. The digital gateway fee would be decreased from $2.50 per household to $2.40 per household per month. And the Star's Encore rate would be decreased from $15 per month to $9 per month. And the FPB local weather advertising rates would be updated. Those changes are on page 137. The red line tariff is included there. As a reminder, the board approved back on January 17th the public hearing notice, and that hearing was conducted on March 3rd. No customer comments were received at that hearing or between January 18th and today. Happy to answer any questions you may have on this item.
Any questions for Harvey? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the package that Harvey's put before us?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's approved. And then Harvey had asked that we defer item 5.2 until the next meeting because you're waiting for some additional information.
Yes, please.
So we'll move on to item 5.3, and that's consider approval of 11 Kentucky Infrastructure Authority modified award letters dated February 21st, 2023 from the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority from the Kentucky Broadband Deployment Program grant funds. Gary?
Probably ask David
Okay.
to help me do this.
Yes, sir.
He done the work for me.
Yes, sir. As Mr. Cubon, as you mentioned, so in November of '22, we submitted proposed amendments to the 11 Broadband Deployment Fund grants. The state did agree to our option 1 amendment and has sent us preliminary award letters that do match our option 1 amendment. I've handed out to you, this is a handout. I try to avoid mistakes getting to you. It's rare, but I did get one behind me. So when you look, this is the correct one showing that what we proposed and what the state accepted are the same. Overall, from our original award to the amendments, it's an increase of $521,000. So the match portion would be $260,000 that we would need to cover additional from the original amendment. So if you accept these preliminary awards, which is essentially just showing the new breakdown, they will send us final grant award contracts that then we will bring back to the board to accept.
So as I understand it, we sent them something. They've sent us this something.
Yes.
We send this something back to them, and then they'll send us a final something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we did ask for the grant agreements. There were some contract changes we requested. They did send those to us on Friday afternoon, and we have not had a chance to make sure how those line up. But my hope is to bring those back to you next month.
And that'd be the final when we get it back next month.
Yes.
assuming
Now-
they send it back to us by then.
Now, I say that, let me go through the process that also we need to do. There is an interlocal agreement that was between FPB and the Franklin County Fiscal
Right.
Court. That interlocal agreement did say that FPB and the fiscal court would agree on individual line extensions for the 11 grants.
Right.
So I appreciate Hans putting something together. We have those, and we'll be bringing those to the board first to approve that language. Then we would need to go to the fiscal court, get them to approve that as well. That would then kind of commit the $3 million from them, along with our $5 million before we sign the final grant agreement. So I would look at the interlocal agreement approval first, and then fiscal court approved, then back with the final.
Okay.
That's the process. So that might take 60 days.
Not exactly a straight line, right?
No. And unless we do a special meeting, you're looking at 2 months.
Okay. Any questions at this point for? Okay, we do need to approve this, right?
Yes, sir, to approve, and we have those that need to be signed if approved.
Right. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved. Thank you, sir. Next one is consider approval of master services agreement with Paymentus Corporation for electric bill payment and merchant card services. David?
Yes, sir. I had a good team working on this item, so I might be referring to some of them if questions come up that I need some assistance with. But before we get started, I'd like to thank April Rhodes, Customer Service, for helping, Ryan Henry in IT, and Katrina in Finance. So that would be the team, of course, that deals with these card payments the most in our daily business. So the heart of this item is we're always looking at continuous improvement and how to improve the customer experience. And if we can do that while also helping FPB operations, it's a win-win. So we have had our current payment card vendor since 2007. And looking at our processes, we were looking for the ability to process payment cards, look to see if we could do it for a cheaper convenience fee, and also offer some additional payment options to our customers. And also hoping that we might be able to have some maybe some more streamlined back office reconciliation and record keeping. So what we have before you tonight is the core of the request. I have the handout as well for you that's got a lot of good information on payments. The very first page of the handout, you'll notice in the middle, this is showing all the ways FPB offers ways to pay today to the customer. You'll mention the third column shows the cost to the customer per transaction. You'll notice out of all the ways that we offer our customers to pay our bill, most of them are free except for the speed pay, which is a $3.95 convenience fee. We give you information there next to last column on what it costs FPB, our operations cost to process each transaction, and those are ranked from the cheapest to the most expensive. And then just to give you an idea of what the annual cost is based on estimates to be able to process those. You'll notice the speed pay in the middle. That is the vendor we use for our card processing. So the core of this request is to take out speed pay as our vendor and insert Paymentus as our new merchant card processor. By doing that, we're able to lower the convenience fee from $3.95 to $3.50. So that's over an 11% decrease in fee. By doing that, we're not only going to stick to the existing debit and credit card payments that you can do over the phone or in the office, but we're looking to add with this vendor a whole other group of different payment options. For example, they would allow us you could pay with Venmo, you could pay with Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal. They offer a full network in-payment options with vendors, all of the 4,000 Walmart locations across the country. They announced, Paymentus did announce in January of this year that they're partnering with the Green Dot Network. It's a financial tech company that allows access to over 90,000 merchants across the country that will accept payments. If the board were to go down this path and approve this, we would start small and integrate to the new Paymentus using probably it look a lot like it does today. And then once we feel comfortable, we could scale up to some of those different payment options. So there's a lot of information in here regarding our existing processes and payment counts. I'll
think-
pause for a minute to ask, see if there's any
Yeah, I think
comments.
kind of the bottom line, Dave and I have talked quite a bit about this. We'll be reducing the fee from the current credit card charge. And I know I get a lot of questions from customers who basically say, why do y'all charge for credit cards? And David's looked at the fees, what city government, county government, state government charges. We're kind of in the middle of the pack in terms of that. We have the option to absorb. We could pay that and the customers could use credit card at no charge, but the cost has to go somewhere. I mean, we need to spread that cost. Big vendors, Walmart, everybody, restaurants, as a convenience, they just spread it to their pricing. When you're government and you're either collecting like tax revenue for license plates or whatever, that's the fee. If you absorb it, that you've got to take it out somewhere else because you still owe that amount. So if our utility bills average, $258, if we absorb it, then that cost cuts into that revenue, which causes budget problems somewhere else. Credit cards is a convenience. Government as a whole pretty much charges some type of fee. Most government agencies or utilities for doing it. There are some exceptions. The other options we've got here, Venmo, PayPal, and all that, whatever charges they charge for their systems would apply, but we wouldn't be charging anything for those. If people wanted to use it, there would be no FPB charge. Whatever PayPal costs them to use is what PayPal costs them to use. We would not have a role in that. David said that they could look at some other things. If you look at the information David has, ultimately, our best option is to get people to go paperless and either go e-check or automatic withdrawal, right, David?
Yes, sir.
I mean,
That is
that's the
right.
cheapest overall in terms of long term. And David's and his team are going to go back and look and see, is there any other incentives we can offer to encourage people? Because we've been moving in that direction, but we've got about, 8,000 paperless, David?
Yes, sir, that's right. It's increased over time and continued to go that direction.
But we still got about 20,000 that we're putting a stamp on and putting it in an envelope. So if we could reduce that, that saves money. So there's some other options out there that you're all going to continue to look at.
Yes, sir. If you want to turn to page 2 of the packet, just for a moment, when our customers come in, let's take a new customer, for example. I mean, the idea is we want to be able to meet the customer wherever they are.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to be able to take advantage of all of our services. We do work to get the customer on the FPB portal. That is where we do most of our communication, and that is where, and especially with AMI, we're going to be doing a lot of our interaction and all the different things they'll be able to see with the AMI system. But we're encouraging the customer to interact with us however they choose, but there's no doubt today digital is the way, and that is the future as well. So it is the most cheapest payment method for us. Anytime we have a digital payment, it's substantially less expensive, and it's completely automated from the time the customer submits it all the way to the posting reconciliation deposit. So it's just cheaper. You notice that the 3 most expensive payment methods that for the plant board to process are the ones where you physically have to touch them, the U.S. Mail Depository and in-office things. So we're trying to move towards digital, but of course we always have that hometown, in-person, local feel if you want to go that direction. But if the board approves this, the implementation is free. Paymentus is making their money on the convenience charge.
So we won't pay them anything.
No, sir,
Right.
there will not be anything.
And the reason I'd asked April Rhodes the question when she was up there earlier was, as you notice, FB admin building in-office drive-through is one of our most expensive. And that's why I was asking the question. For a lot of our customers, they just don't have the financial resources to pay other than coming in here in person, paying in cash or with a money order or with a check. I mean, they don't have the other financial tools to make any other type transaction. So we can decrease that, but we're probably always going to need that resource. But if we can move some of that 20,000 who still get paper bills to the paperless system and automated clearinghouse, that would make a big dent in our cost.
Yes, sir. It would. We spend over $200,000 a year in paper billing to customers, so that would help a lot. On that page 2, looking at, I guess it's the 5th column, you'll notice, shout out to our FPB IT department. We have some great group there with Ryan P. and Taylor, and Ryan Henry's part of this as well, developing our FPB portal. We launched that back in March of 2016. So what this sheet on page 2 shows is where we were, how customers paid our bills, their bill, in the year prior to the launch of the portal and a free e-check, and where we were in the last 12 months. You can see we went from 0 e-checks up to over 89,200 in this last 7-year period. Well, when you have an increase like that and the customer base is pretty stable, we had a decrease in local payments and then a substantial decrease in the U.S. mail depository, a decrease of over 51,500, and a decrease in our in-office and drive-through of almost 27,000. So we're moving from a low-cost free option to the customer and a much more cheaper operating processing for the plant board. So all this moves to try to make me more efficient, allow us to do more with less labor and benefits, and overall works to keep rates low to our customers.
And we have just, what, did you tell me, one bank that still accepts that still handles our payments?
We have two right now,
Two.
Whitaker and Limestone, which I think is changing ownership.
John?
Yes. Paymentus, will they have an app for this, or are we going to be developing? And now, I use my phone, Columbia. I've got a Columbia Gas, get my gas through Columbia Gas, so I have an app on the phone there. I use FPB's website and pay by e-check. I've done it ever since you all lifted the fee for it, and I found it's the most convenient way to do it. But are we in the process of trying to develop an app that's a little more user-friendly, especially for mobile devices?
That is in the works. I know I've talked with Ryan. We know that's where everybody wants to be.
Right.
And we have all those pieces and parts out in individual areas. It's just aggregating that into one convenient method. So that is something that we are working to develop. Payment it's going to be easy on the back office side. There's all of these different methods, and you think, oh my goodness, that's a lot to handle, but they send it to us in one stream. So it's not, we're going to be able to handle the reconciliation, posting, deposits, all that in a very clean way. But they will, of course, we will integrate with them. All of our database and all the customer billing information will feed into all of their payment channels. So whenever you pull up in your digital wallet, or if you go to PayPal, you'll see your account and amount. So there will be a separate PayPal, I should say, Paymentus mobile way to get to
it'll
that.
be their app and not our app.
Yes, sir.
Though, right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Johnny, just want to emphasize
Sure.
something David said that I want to make sure that people who are listening at home don't overlook. The ways we go through now on the FPB website that are free, the e-check, all those are going to remain free. These are the people that want the convenience of either paying with, what used to be credit cards or debit cards and are now going to be Venmo, PayPal, digital wallets, all this kind of stuff. Anything anybody else wants to do. Whereas, and like you said, John, we need to make sure that we don't take the convenience fees and the amount of money that costs to do. We can't put that on the backs of all or the rate payers. So, we're kind of in that weird situation. I mean, if you do your car tags online, you pay an extra $2.50 or whatever. You can pay your property taxes online. It's all the same thing. Governments do this all the time. When paying kids tuition at school, they nail you for that if you want to pay with a credit card. So, those institutions are going to have to get their money because they can't, like you said, spread it out amongst their customers. But David, I appreciate your answers.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions for David?
I just want to thank you for providing all this information. I mean, considering switching to Paymentus gave an opportunity for you to educate those of us. I know you did a big study a few years ago. And I don't know what public education is planned, but it might also be an opportunity to emphasize what is the most cost-effective way to pay for the plant board, and that means lower rates ultimately.
Absolutely. I appreciate you saying that. One of the things if we don't continue, I think when someone paid with a check, we would give them a little piece of paper that says you don't have to come to the office if you don't want to. You can do bank draft, you can do the free e-check, but just try to encourage just education, let people know that there's other ways to do business if they want to.
But I've always been amazed if I happen to come by here on a day, like around billing dates. I mean, the amount of people that line up just to pay at the drive-thru is incredible. I mean, people come and I know from my time in the state auditor's office, counties that have a courthouse center, a square. I mean, people come, it's a big deal to come to town and pay their car tax or their property tax. I mean, they make a day of it. I mean, they come and they pay their bill and they stay there and they buy stamps. And I mean, it's just.
I do think there are dog treats at the drive-through window still, so I do
Yeah.
think that is something worth. I want to clear. I made a comment that we wouldn't pay anything. I should say it'll be net zero. So, for example, if there's a chargeback, I think there's a $9.95 fee that we do have an overdraft fee in our tariff. So it's offset. If there were to be a negative customer action that created a fee, we have a way of recouping that. So I just want to make sure I was clear with that. But
On the payment contract, what's the term of that contract?
it is it's a 5 years. I need to go to that. 5 years, and then I believe it gives you the option of a 3-year extension.
Okay.
They after the initial 5, I do think they wouldn't guarantee the amount, but there's a potential. All this is based on our volume. I think Paymentus it's a solid product, and they have a very good platform. I believe one of their things is they're pretty confident they've got a good product, and there will be more people gravitate towards the type of methods they offer. So I think we'll see an increase in payments going through the Paymentus supported methods because people like to use these modern types of things, and that means more money for Paymentus.
As I understand it, we're going from $395 down to $350, but had we not rebid it, our current vendor was going to raise the $395 and go up higher.
Our current vendor has told us for a long time,
Yeah.
if you were to renew, you would not get that rate. It would go north.
Yeah. So, any other questions? Do we have a motion?
If it's in order, I would make a motion to approve the master service agreement with Paymentus.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Contract's approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 5.5. Michelle, consider approving changes to FPB's Well Living Health Plans, colorectal cancer screening requirements.
Good evening, Board Chair and members of the Board. Frankfurt Plant Board Health Plan follows the A and B recommendation for U.S. preventive services. A copy of the recommendation for the colorectal cancer screening is located in the detailed pages. As new recommendations are adopted, our health plan adopts the new A and B recommendations. Effective May 18 of 2021, the recommendation for colorectal cancer screening requires that health plans cover colonoscopies beginning at age 45, which our plan is currently up to date and in compliance. However, our Well Living plan requires colorectal cancer screening to begin at age 50 for enrolled members. Staff asked the board to keep the age 50 requirement for the 2023 plan year for the Well Living health plans and reduce the requirement age to 45 in 2024 to allow members enough time to schedule their preventive colorectal screenings. Keeping the age requirement at age 50 for the remainder of the 2023 health plan year will not affect our health plan's compliance because the overall health plan allows members age 45 and up to receive preventive colorectal cancer screenings at no cost to the member as long as it follows the A and B preventive recommendation.
So if someone's physician wanted to recommend they get one at age 45, under our plan, they could get that?
Yes, and it
It's
would
just,
be, go ahead.
as part of our Well Living for our employees about when we require things, it would kick in at age 50, right?
Yes. So like I said, for this year, for the remaining of the year, we just didn't want to stress anyone out by sending out letters saying, you're age 45, you have to get a colonoscopy this year. So staff is asking that we keep it for 50 for 2023, and then starting the 2024 plan year, change it to 45 and up.
So this would be effective 1/1/24?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does the board have any questions?
So do we need a motion on this?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved.
Thank
And item 5.6, consider changes to FPB's health plan concerning the Cigna network.
Yes, sir.
This has become a regular topic, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So, Frankfurt Plant Board Health Plan utilizes the Cigna network for medical claim pricing. January 1st, 2023, one of our frequently used providers was unable to reach an agreement with Cigna and did not participate until February 1st of 2023. As an alternative to lessen the disruption of medical care for members that currently had appointments with the provider, we offered our members the option to enroll in a temporary network, which is named Private Healthcare Systems, that included the frequently used provider. We had 28 members and their dependents switch to the PHCS network. Staff worked with Cheryl Morgan, our healthcare plan broker, to explore other network options. However, the recommendation is to continue to use the Cigna network for the remainder of the 2023 plan year. Staff asked the board to approve discontinuing the use of the PHCS network and switch the 28 members and their dependents back to the Cigna network with an effective date of April 1st of 2023.
So for those people who, for short term, we had to do something to keep their network and their services, they're now back where they were from a network when they started the year, right?
It will be on April 1st.
We will, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, if everyone approves,
Yeah.
if the board approves, yes, we will switch those individuals back to the Cigna network with the effective date of April 1st.
Any questions?
Will this have any negative impacts on their health plan land for the year, like deductibles or anything like that?
No, the benefits, contributions, all that will remain the same.
Maybe I'll ask this, well, let's deal with this, and I got
Okay.
one question for you. Do we have any other questions for Michelle? Okay, if not, do we have a motion? We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved. Michelle, where do you see, we're coming up on budget, then we're coming up on what would be open enrollment. Where do you see Cigna and all this going? Will we be bidding for another network? Will they continue on? Where do you see this going after January 1st next year?
We were hoping, like I said, there have been some negotiations, and to be honest, our local hospital does not participate with one of the networks that we wanted to utilize for 2024. And so we have been trying to work out a direct contract. However, I think they may have some other negotiations going on, so they have been slow to responding to us. So we just want to make sure that there's no disruption. So again, we're continuing to look at different networks. We just want to make sure that most definitely our local hospital is in the network that we choose. And if it's not, then we want to make sure that we can get some type of direct contract. So as of right now, Cigna just seems to be the best network.
Are employees overall pleased with the Cigna network and providers and services?
As far as I know, when we initially switched over, which has been a couple years, there were certain providers that weren't in the network, but I haven't heard as much dissatisfaction as of lately.
Any questions for? Because the state uses Anthem
Yes,
for
I believe
its
so.
full-time, for its current employees, and they use Humana for the retirees?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And I believe you sent me the email concerning, I believe Humana is no longer going to do corporate or employer.
Yes, they're making a change in what they're offering for the future.
Right.
So,
Right.
we'll just keep us posted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consider approving minutes of the March 16th, 2023 Ethics Committee meeting. I assume none of us are in trouble, Hans?
That's correct.
None of us are in trouble. That is correct?
Everything was in order, so I asked the board for a motion to accept the minutes into the record.
And that was the minute that they reviewed all the financial disclosures and so forth?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct. So, all's in order, everything is good, all's
Okay.
well. So.
Okay. Did we have a motion?
And I will make the motion.
You will make the motion.
But he's without sin cast the first stone. There you go. I will second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. Mr. General Manager?
I really don't have
You're speechless?
Yes.
Don't go to that KYMEA meeting tomorrow. Just don't go.
Is it tomorrow or Thursday? It's tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Yes.
Any old or new business?
Thursday, I'm sorry.
Thursday. That's
It's
what I
not
thought.
Thursday. Yes.
Any old or new business to discuss? If not,
It's
Mr.
just time for
Steiner?
me to make a motion, isn't it? I'd like to request permission to have the chair call a closed session pursuant to KRS 61-810-1B for deliberation on the future acquisition of real property, since publicity would likely affect the value of a specific piece of property to be acquired for public use. Also under KRS 61.810.1C to discuss pending or proposed litigation regarding property and products matter. KRS 68.110.1G to discuss specific proposal that if openly discussed would jeopardize the siting, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a business. KRS 61.810.1M to discuss infrastructure records that expose a vulnerability through disclosure of the location and configurations of a public utility critical systems exempted from disclosure. Under KRS 61.878.1M, 1F, and under KRS 61.810.1N, which I think is a new one, to discuss the selection of a bidder for the award of a contract.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're going into closed session. Come back in 5 minutes. motion to come out of closed session? Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're back in open session. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in regards to item 1 that was discussed in the closed session, we would like to direct I would make a motion to direct the staff to prepare and submit documents according to the schedule that was outlined by the board in the closed session.
We have a motion. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any other business?
Nope.
All those in favor of, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Aye. Those opposed? We're adjourned.